Welcome to John's Tours. We are outside the magnificent St. George's Hall, but our tour today is about the surrounding area called William Brown Street and its buildings. The area with St. George's is called the Cultural Quarter of Liverpool. William Brown Street used to be called Shaw's Brow. James Shaw was a builder and potter by trade. Liverpool at the turn of the 18th century had a fine reputation for pottery. When the census of 1790 took place, there were 74 potters' houses in the Shaw's Brow area. Wages were slight, and some were not adverse to exhume bodies from the nearby St. John's Church graveyard, and they were to be sold for medical research, especially to the Edinburgh School of Medicine. Because of the pottery trade, Josiah Wedgwood made many a trip to Liverpool, and it was here in Liverpool in 1762 that he had an unfortunate accident. He fell off his horse and was incapacitated. His doctor attended to him at the Golden Lion Inn in Dale Street and introduced him to a fellow dissenter called Thomas Bentley. Bentley, at only 23, had opened a business in King Street, Liverpool, and lived in Paradise Street, at the time one of the most fashionable streets in Liverpool. Thomas Bentley became a long-time friend, and by the time of his recuperation, Wedgwood had appointed Bentley his sole agent. Thomas Bentley eventually became a partner with Wedgwood for the manufacture of ornamental wares. Bentley took charge of the Wedgwood London showrooms, but unfortunately died in London at the early age of 49. Shaw's Brow was a coaching route. It was the main thoroughfare into the town of Liverpool from the east, and a large number of stagecoaches would travel down this road to Dale Street, maybe perhaps stopping at the Saracen's Head situated where the municipal building is today. Travelling to London would take 4 days and would go down the aptly named London Road on its way to Warrington for the first part of its journey. Shaw's Brow was extremely steep, and over the course of time the road was lowered for greater convenience. The last time the street was lowered, the whole street was realigned to take it along the northern boundary of St. John's Churchyard, now St. John's Gardens. Many a stagecoach had had difficulties with the incline. Even today the walk is quite steep. The area at the top of Shaw's Brow was once called the Great Heath, a rocky barren area full of gorse and heather, and because of its height, windmills were established and later lime kilns. The name of Shaw's Brow was changed to honour one of Liverpool's great mercantile princes, William Brown, and he donated £40,000 to the building of the library and museum. William's Brown family came from Ballymena, and at the turn of the 19th century they sailed for Baltimore in the USA. His father founded the famous banking firm of Alexander Brown and Sons. In 1809, William returned to Liverpool and established the mercantile firm of Brown, Shipley and Company. It was said that in 1844 he held 1/6 of the trade between Great Britain and the USA. We will start our journey at the Staple Fountain. The Staple Fountain, built in 1879, was made entirely from cast iron. Staple was mayor of Liverpool between 1847 to 49. The designer was a Michel Léonard who created a fountain for the Paris Exposition of 1867. It stands 23 foot high, and you can see similar fountains in other parts of the world, for example, the Brewer Fountain in Boston and the Tournai Fountain in Quebec. The fountain has always provided great fun for the local Liverpool children. Beside the Staple Fountain is the Duke of Wellington's column. The Duke's nickname was Conky Bill. He had a rather big nose. And no self-respecting town was going to be complete without a statue of the Duke. The column was designed by Andrew Lawson, 132 foot high, and made of Darley-Dale stone, with reliefs on the base showing the grand charge at Waterloo, with the Duke on his horse, telescope in hand. The bronze statue is 14 foot high, and the statue is cast in bronze, we are told, from captured Napoleon's guns at Waterloo. The statue faces southeast towards Belgium and Waterloo. On the east and west side show his victories. The column itself is a hollow cylinder with a staircase of 169 steps. On the column plinth are pegs that mark out an imperial board of trade measurement. In the background is the Liverpool Empire Theatre. The first theatre opened in 1866, called the Prince of Wales, and then renamed in 1867 as the Royal Alexandra in honour of the Princess of Wales. The theatre closed in 1924, demolished and reopened in 1925 as the Empire Theatre. All the great stars and performers of the time appeared at the Empire. In 1957, a local skiffle group called the Quarrymen appeared in a talent show. They were unsuccessful, but reappeared on another talent show in 1959, this time with a new name called Johnny and the Moondogs. They reached the finals, but again were unsuccessful. The group reappeared again at the Empire in 1962 with a new name called the Beatles. To the left is the County Sessions House. Architect Francis and George Home, they also designed the homeopathic hospital in Hope Street, and its style is derived from the Renaissance Venice rather than ancient neoclassical of Greek and Rome. William Brown Street has been used for many a film set. It is the backdrop to Moscow in the film Red October. It is London in the BBC series The War of the Worlds, and will reappear again in a new series to hit our TV screens called The Irregulars. Our next building is the Walk Art Gallery. The architect was Sherlock and Vale, and it was paid for by the mayor, Andrew Walker Barclay, a brewer, and he built some of the great Victorian ornate pubs. The entrance has 6 Corinthian columns with pediment, sculptures on either side by John Wood of Raphael and Michelangelo. Over the window are 4 friezes which I will describe going left to right. The laying of the foundation stone in 1874 by the son of Queen Victoria, the Duke of Edinburgh. The second is the visit of Queen Victoria to Liverpool in 1851. The third is King John granting the Liverpool Charter in 1207. And the last is the embarkation of King William from Hoylake in 1690. On top of the building is the Spirit of Liverpool, made from white marble. Designed by Warrington Wood, she's holding a trident, sitting on a bale of cotton. Beside her is a liver bird, and around her is a sextant, a propeller, a set square, a compass, and a painter's palette, all representing Liverpool's maritime trade and love of art. Unfortunately, the very attributes of Liverpool's trade and maritime environment led to a severe deterioration of the sculpture. The sculpture had eroded to such an extent that it had no structural integrity. The sculpture was taken down in 1993 and was replaced by a new marble sculpture made in China in 1995. In my view, it is an example of how Liverpool has been revitalised, restored to its former glory. The damages of air pollution cannot be overstated, and the damage to the spirit of Liverpool is a case in point. Whilst you are here, do visit the Walker Art Gallery, probably the best art gallery outside of London, with paintings from medieval times to modern. Beside the Walker Art Gallery is the Liverpool Library, completed by 1860. The library was extended with the addition in 1879 of the Picton Reading Room. It has a circular plan similar to the British Museum. It was the first library to have lighting by electricity. The library has a full set of John James Audubon birds of America and has had a wonderful refurbishment. The library won Booksellers of the Year Library Award in 2018 and has an ambience of very modern and very old. Attached to the rear of the Picton Reading Room is the Hornby Library, added in 1906. Hornby's father was a merchant who specialised in trade with Russia. His son Hugh took little interest in the family's business, but devoted his time to collecting rare prints and books. Hugh, on his death in 1899, bequeathed his collection to Liverpool and £10,000 to build a library. Do take the lift to the top of the building and you can walk out onto the roof, where you can have a wonderful panoramic view of Liverpool. At the entrance to the library is a 72-foot granite walkway inlaid with the titles of literary classics. The titles contain a riddle, a series of letters picked out in red which spell out the title of a small but eye-catching item in the library's collection. Beside the library is the Liverpool World Museum, a 6-column Corinthian portico with attic, flanked by 5 bays. Grade 2 star listed, it opened in 1860. An extension was built in 1901 to house a College of Technology. It was ravaged by fire in the War of 1940, and much of it has had to be rebuilt. It is a museum that explores world cultures and what is described as world collections, which include collections from Africa, Tibet, Americas, Rome, Japan, Greece. It also has a dinosaur gallery, a planetarium, astronomy, Egyptology, a botany and zoology collection. On our west side we have St. John's Gardens, an oasis of peace and tranquility that I will talk about later on another tour. Thank you for listening to John's Tours, and if you want to catch any more of my tours, look at my website www.johnstours.co.uk.